Okay, so today we're going to be talking about dreaming in this period where the pandemic is rapid still. They're looking for a vaccine. There's racial divide, racial tensions. There's even, I would say, even I would call it even a spiritual. There's some spiritual problems going on right now too. Not that you can't worship from home or whatever, but we've all been kind of shifted in different directions. And so with that said, having so many people who have lost their jobs and lost hope and lost their focus because they have been forced into this crisis. Some of your dreams you might feel like your dreams have been shattered. You had a job that you thought was secure. You had a marriage that you thought was secure. You had your children were in school and they were, you didn't have to worry about homeschooling and teaching them. So much has come out of this to that some of the dreams that we may have or were pursuing may seem like they have been shattered. And so what we want to talk about today is re-sparking those dreams and making sure we stay focused and knowing that God can take bad and make good out of it. God can take bad and make good out of it. As a matter of fact, this topic was chosen a couple of weeks ago, and I happened to be watching Good Morning America yesterday, and there was an interview with three entrepreneurs, three people who started businesses since this pandemic. And one of them was a lady by the name of Chanel Fields, and she just saw a need, and she started this business that's called MD Ally. And what it is an idea of having dispatchers reroute non-emergency calls to doctors. So there was with all of the emergencies and all of the pandemic calls and the COVID cases and everything, the non-emergency calls were being neglected. And so she thought about it and opened this business, and it is a business that is really, really booming. And it's going to be a business not only when the pandemic is over. They're saying that there's going to be a need for this service even after. Another young man was on track to start his business called Portrait Coffee and had everything set to go. Then the shutdown happened and he had to put it all on hold. And then he just got an epiphany where, I can still do that. I can still open my business. I have all the equipment. Let me just bring it to my home. And so he did that. So there's a lot of potential for us to have to get our dreams going. And maybe it's not a business. Maybe it is just doing a Bible study. Maybe it's whatever it is. We want to make sure that we know that because of this quarantine period, that shouldn't stop us. It should spark us. We might have a little bit more flexibility and time because the government is even giving what they call PPP, is Paycheck Protection Program. And there's like millions of dollars that haven't even been used for people who have small businesses or are needing resources in that area. And then there's some more information. We can talk about that at a later time. But anyway, this is a perfect time to reignite your dreams, to turn your fear into faith, turn your trials into triumph, to turn your pain into purpose, and turn your mess into a message. And as we've been hearing lately, turn a movement into a moment into a movement. So dreams to me really is faith in action. Faith, really, dreams is another way of saying what is a dream. A definition would be your faith in action, doing it, being active. We want to dream big, we want to dream bold, we want to dream God-sized dream. When I say God-sized dreams, I don't really mean that they got to be where you're going to become this, next Walmart or the next Sam's or whatever, but I'm just saying God-driven dreams, knowing that God inside of you is bigger than anything outside of you. And so have God-sized dreams to follow your passion and do what God has already put inside of you to do. And we're going to have our memory verse for this week. I want us to remember, if you don't already know it, Ephesians 3:20. Whatever translation works for you, that's fine. You can use NASB, NIV, ESV, but this is what it says. It says, "Now unto him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we can ask or imagine." So that's your dream, that your dreams are in conference in that, according to his power that is at work within you. So you got to say within Carol, within Pam, within Claudette, within Danielle, within Charity, within whoever is on the line. You can say his power can do is at work within me, and you need to call your name out and speak it into existence. Amen. So another quick statistic here is that a lot of people think, well, I'm older now and I can't, I'm too old to start dreaming or to do. I'm in my retirement age. But a whole lot of businesses started when people were in their 60s and 70s. And one, for instance, was Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Sanders. He started his business at 65 years old. The lady who wrote Little House on the Prairie, she started writing those stories when she was like 68 years old. So there's a lot left for us to do. Us who are over 50, you might be saying, well, I just want to focus, and that's fine. But I'm just saying that's not a reason to not pursue something that is nagging, something that is really tagging at your heart and saying, I should do this. And I talked to my mom about some stuff when she was, the last few weeks of her life. And I told her some things I had would like to do. And she told me, well, Carolyn, you need to go ahead and do it, baby. And you need to get started now. And you should have started a long time ago. So I promised her then that I would do some of the things that I put on hold because of my own fears or my own stubbornness or just whatever it was that was holding me back. So anyway, just want us to re-spark our dreams. Dreams don't run out of steam. People run out of steam. Too often we give up way too soon, or we don't even start at all. We listen to the voice of critics. You're going to always have critics. You listen to people who have never accomplished anything themselves, and they never will. That's why they criticize you and tell you it can't be done. Right, Pam? Right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, they criticize you, and because they're not dream seekers. So we need to surround yourself with the best to be the best. You got to surround yourself with the best to be the best. I'm not saying that you should be an elitist or anything like that, but I am saying that you need to be around like-minded people, especially Christians who are like-minded believers. Anytime you want to say something or chime in, you can feel free to do that as I'm talking, and Sister Annis will share that with us. Another thing is we started looking at the odds instead of the evens. We look at the oddities, how this might not work. Instead of looking at the evens, we look at the minuses instead of the pluses. We look at the negatives instead of the positives, or we look at the wind and the waves like Apostle Peter did when he took his sight off of God. When he took his sight off of Jesus, that's when he began to sink. So we got to stay focused. We got to keep our eyes on Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. In short, we're saying we give up on our dreams and our whole world seems like it's lacking. When you give up on your dream, you still feel empty, like, there's something more I need to be doing, and I should be doing, or I'm supposed to be doing, or I'm half doing, I'm incomplete, or you're sad, or you're feeling like, wow, I just don't know what's wrong with me. It's because probably one thing could be is that you're really not fulfilling your God-filled potential. God has already given you the resources. You just got to know that you can do it. So we want to be dream makers, and we want to leave our mark on this side of heaven. So often we say, well, if I can only make it to heaven. Well, that's a whole different ballgame. That is not going to be what we're going to be. The things we're supposed to do here, God has commissioned us to do. We're supposed to be doing those here, and he's going to hold us accountable for what he has commissioned us to do. So I want us to think, dare to dream. I think one of the best things we can do is to make our everyday lives a dream that's big and bold and faith-filled. You can dream about what the future holds, about the new things you can accomplish with God's help. That's what I was just saying, with God's help. Keep it in mind that God's word says that he can do, that's our scripture, our Bible verse this week. We can do more than we can even imagine or dream of. That's Ephesians 3:20. However, in order to dream any dream, it could be about a career or stronger marriage, big things for your kids. It is important to look at and adjust your attitude. When you change your attitude from pessimism to optimism, from faith to fear, from fear to faith, you are on a road to seeing your dreams come true. And that's just seeing your God-given potential come true. For example, when you're tempted to think, when the enemy put in your head, it's too hard, or sometimes it's not the enemy, it's just a self-driven thought. You think that it's too hard. I'm too old. Remind yourself that your attitude determines your altitude. Instead of saying, I can't do it, you can choose to think, I can do all things through Christ. That's Philippians 4:13. So when you start to think I can't do it or I can't, instead of just changing that can't to I can do all things through Christ. Another nugget is, instead of this is impossible, you can think nothing is impossible with God. Unlimited resources. That's Philippians 4:13. No, I'm sorry. This is impossible. Think nothing is impossible. That's Matthew 19:26. Instead of saying, what if it doesn't work out? You could think, what if it does work out? Just what if it does work out? It just might work out. Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Hebrews 11:1. It says, now faith is the confidence in what we hope for and the assurance about what we do not see. That's faith. That's dreaming. The confidence of knowing that if God gave it to you and you pursue it with the kingdom focus, even if it's if it's not a biblical dream of yours, but with the kingdom, with God on your side, we can achieve all things. The truth is that anytime you follow a dream that God puts in your heart, you have a part to play. You just can't sit back and just say, well, God, I wish, or God, I'm waiting on you, or I'm waiting on that breakthrough. I'm waiting on this or that. I have a friend who told me that she had been procrastinating for a long, long time. And when she got older, she still started to achieve her a part of the gift calling that God had given her, but she wished she would have done it so much sooner, because she just could have done so much more and could have reached so many others. And so you'll need to persevere on days when you feel like quitting. Every one of us have had those days you wake up, you don't feel like going on. You have got to go on. It is, especially as women, as caregivers, nurturing parents, we have to give when we don't feel like it. So we might as well be taking some of those, some of that talent and using it for your personal self. We are always fulfilling other people's dream, our husbands, our children, our others around us, our social circles and everything. What about fulfilling what God has given you to do? God will never ask you to do something without giving you the ability to do it. If God has asked you to do something, he's going to see you through it. And the good news is when your power seems insufficient, God's power is sufficiency. He is our sufficiency. And Pastor Paul talked about that. When he was weak, God was his sufficiency, and he was made perfect in his weaknesses. And this is the greatest of the greatest man in the Bible, especially of the New Testaments, outside of Jesus. So he had thorns in his flesh. He had all kinds of reasons not to give up. I remember a quick story here when Pastor and we started in pastoral leadership. We had big dreams of continuing and expanding the church and expanding the vision of Pastor Chevalier and Overseer Stafford. And we quickly realized, real quick, that it wouldn't be that easy. It took a whole lot more work than we thought. There were times of disappointment after disappointment, and there was time of great achievement as well. And when we wondered where sometimes we got into a pickle where the financial situation was a little strained, but rather than giving in to discouragement, and God just prayed and came together as a family, and God kept us, and he brought us through that. We worked hard doing all that we could to be obedient to the call, because we knew if God ordained it, he was going to sustain it. And when times got tough, God pulled us through. So when you're on your road to achieving what God has given you to do, know that God's grace is sufficient. Know that God is going to do what you can't do. That's what grace is, God's undeserved favor to see you through. Okay, let's see. The next point I want to talk about is think about some of the people in the Bible who might have had big dreams. We know God used dreams and vision throughout the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament. But think about maybe how David might have dreamt. After being anointed by Saul, while tending his father's sheep, David must have dreamed, knowing that he was going to be someday king, that what it would be like to be king. While wearing a coat of many, many colors, Joseph must have dreamed about the favor on his life and what that could mean. Pregnant with the Messiah, Mary.
So, First Lady, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me okay? Okay.
Yeah.
If we could take a quick pause and just ask the people on the call, are there things that they've thought about? Because what's interesting is when I talk about mediocrity, the points are so close to what you're talking about. So it's going to all flow together.
Okay.
And so if everyone could just start thinking about, are there things that we know we've thought about doing or dreamed about doing, and just because life has just jumped in, and that's kind of what I'm going to talk about. Life just comes in, and you think you're doing the things that the people before you did. The people before you did that. So that seems like the norm. You go to school, you get a degree, you get married, you have 2.5 kids or whatever. And then before you know it, all your time is gone and you've even forgotten what your passion was. So if you could just start thinking about that, just like the Bible characters that First Lady is talking about, I'm sure David thought about what it would be like to be king. Yeah. I'm sure he thought about that. And you see it ended up happening for him. Yeah. So I just think that's such a good message. And again, mine is going to intertwine with that. So it's really a good opportunity for everyone to kind of revisit some of those things that we've thought about. And it could be something it doesn't have to be as major as starting your own business. It doesn't have to be that. It can be as simple as, something you wanted to get through another course or read a book or whatever. But you really want to start thinking about those things that you have dreamed about. And we've all had dreams. We've all had dreams, but life can cause you to forget about them. And I just wanted to make that point now, because what I'm going to say later is almost the same as what you're saying now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Stannis. And most of our dreams as ladies, as girls, back when we were 2 or 3, we dreamt, we had our Barbie dolls. Well, we didn't have Barbie dolls. We had paper dolls. We had actually paper dolls that we dressed up and that kind of thing. But we started to dream about fashion, even starting when we were little bitty. And then we started about maybe being a mom or being a teacher or being a nurse. We started dreaming at a very young age. And so dreams are part of our existence. As I was saying that, Mary must have dreamed about the upcoming joys of being a mother once the shamefulness had already been dealt with and she was married and everything. She had to dream about motherhood a lot, I would imagine. And Paul, the great apostle Paul, he must have dreamt about what the early church would become, what that would happen. So dreaming is a part of our spiritual DNA, not only our natural DNA, but our spiritual DNA. It is rooted in hope and fueled by faith. That's something I want you to learn. Dreams are rooted in hope and fueled by faith. God doesn't just allow us to dream. He created us to dream big, to think big, to imagine big, and to make big plans for our life. I don't know if Charity is on the phone, but she's got 3 kids that are very, very talented. And right now would be a good time for her to start uploading videos to YouTube and see what happens. Sometimes they go viral, and then the rest is history. A-Star and others online, all of the young mothers online, just you pay attention to your children, because that is really where the next big thing usually comes from, is your children. Stay connected to them. And my niece Sean, she just recently started. She's been always an entrepreneur of sorts, and she started her catering cooking business, oxtails and cocktails, and maybe cocktails and oxtails, but and her lunches over the pandemic was featured on HEB. So she is re-sparking the talent that God has given her and fueling that faith-driven energy. So as I talked about earlier, some of the people that started their businesses and writing books even. One guy wrote a book at 89 years old, his first novel, and he went on to become a movie. So dare to dream about how God can change your situation, even in your marriages or in your relationships at work or even in your job. Like, I really, I'm not happy doing this, God. I want to do something that's my passion. Tell me how I can pursue that. Ask God to give you the dream that will bless not only your life, but the lives of others. When you're dreaming, think about how you can impact and make a difference in the world where you're not selfish with it, where you're saying, God, I want a dream that is going to impact and bless others. And God will give that to you. So how do we successfully make preparation and give birth to our dreams? One thing is put your expectation in God. I'm not going to talk a lot more about it because I think Sister Anderson is going to cover some of the things that I have, a little more nuggets I have, but put your expectation in God, not in man, and not even in you. Another thing is to wait on God. Waiting on God. When you're waiting on God, that's not static. That's still being active, doing something. I said earlier, maintain a good attitude. Your attitude determines your altitude. And you got to live your dream. So often we live other people's dream. You got to start living your dream. Thinking about how you would please God. God will do amazing things in you and through you, but it's not going to be easy. I mean, I don't know anybody that's been very successful, even going to high school, college, graduating, getting career going, that kind of thing. That's hard work. That's hard. Everything you do nothing is easy. Just almost being a wife and a stay-home mom, that to me is way more taxing than any other fulfillment can be. So the fulfillment of your God-given dream is what we want to be pursuing. The points of empowerment to take away today is just think about, keep going that last mile. You're running a marathon. Remember, you got one more mile to go. You're going to make it. Be confident that God is working and he's going to take you over that finish line. Perseverance pays off. So refuse to give up. Refuse to give up. Even if you stop and you have to start over, refuse to give up. Realize your dream again is it's not only about you. It's about others and you and God. That's it. I hope that was some nuggets and some inspiration that you can use to respark and reignite your dreams.
Thank you. Thank you, First Lady. Danielle, she had a really nice just kind of comment. She says, speak those things that are not as though they were.
There you go.
Romans 17. So that's right. Those things we dream about, they can become reality. And all we have to do is speak them into existence, and they can become a reality. And so thank you.
Just one more thing, Pam. People. I want us to take away not so much dreams. I want you to really take away more than the word dreams. Is that your passion in action? Because sometimes people take the word dreams and it becomes like intangible, something that's not tangible. But whatever your passion is, whatever God has given you, put that into action and pursue it.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the topic is on how to overcome mediocrity. And we are going to cover some of the same things that First Lady covered. I see where A-Star is saying that she's been praying about something.
Good.
And now she's starting to pray and say, Lord, it's already done. So pretty much she's moving from, oh, please do this for me. Oh, I want to see this happen. Yeah. She's moved to, it's already done.
Active.
And that's kind of the place that we want to be, where we believe that we're walking in alignment. We've prayed about it initially. So now it is done. It is done. It is finished. And now you're just waiting for it to manifest in a way that I could put it, kind of like when Daniel prayed, and for 21 days, and then the angel showed up. He had been preoccupied fighting his way to get to Daniel. But we learn in that story, it was done from the first day that Daniel prayed, from the first day. Yeah. So that's kind of how we have to look at that. So overcoming mediocrity. And I'll start with, how do we get in that place of mediocrity? How do we, as women especially, we just wake up one day and life is just mundane. It's like you're just going through the motions. Everything is just kind of on autopilot. You do the exact same thing every day. Now, that is okay if you are passionate about life, if you love what you're doing, if that routine feeds your soul, it energizes you, you don't feel like you're missing anything, that's perfectly okay. You know, it's kind of like, if your goal, there's some people, you know, especially some of the younger people we talked about, if their goal in life is to be the best mom they can be and to put everything into their kids. I remember when I was raising kids from those ages of like 2 and maybe 15, I love doing that. I mean, that was just like my goal, was to be like the best mom, to have the smartest kids in school if I could, you know, to do everything I had to do, the soccer games and everything. I just kind of really, really love doing that. But then as a woman, what we have to remember and be careful with is not to forget about those things that you desire, because you only have so much to give. We only have so many years to walk this earth. And there's so many things that's happening, as we can see now, which none of us expected, that kind of shut everybody down. There's so many things that can happen that if you're not careful when it comes to giving all of your energy to your kids or your spouse or whoever or whatever, you will look up one day and the years have passed and you did not fulfill any of those dreams, any of those passions. And even with going to school, I mean, you know, times have changed, and I'm a strong believer in education. I mean, I can, the reason I can say this because I have so many degrees at every level. So I can say this with not judgment. Be careful even about going to school too much because maybe somebody else did that.
Right.
Be careful of doing things that someone else did, or you think that's what's the requirement, or you grew up around people who they were just very overly, what's the word I'm looking for? It's the word I'm looking for. It just means
overachievers.
It's not overly academic, but it just means, it's a word I'm looking for that means it's the type A personality person. So if you grew up around people who have the type A personality, because this is how we get into mediocrity. We get into mediocrity sometimes. It's not our fault. We see people that we admire. We grow up around our parents, our educators, or you know, the neighbor or whoever, and we think we want our life to be just like them. So if you grow up around people who are very, very, very studious, or you grow up around people who are, you know, motherhood is their whole thing, or you grow up around people who serving their husbands is their lifeblood, that's what they do, you know, and back in the day, that was fulfilling, at least it looked fulfilling on television. They made it look good. You know, the wife who just stays home all day and she's like ready when her husband comes in, and she's just, you know, dressed from head to toe. And, you know, some of those black and white movies like the Leave It to Beaver mom, well, that's not reality. That didn't really happen like that. But that was put into our minds at a young age. And so when we got married, we thought you give everything to your husband, or you give everything to your kids, or you do what you see your educator does. And that may not be for you. So one way you get into mediocrity is adopting habits that you've seen other people do as the norm. Adopting habits that you've seen other people do as the norm. And what you need to realize is it was the norm for them. And it's okay, because what's okay for one person may not be okay for you. You have to really, you know, do some soul searching and find out what is it that you're really, really, really passionate about. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because you may have something that you're passionate about, like First Lady is talking about her niece who is passionate about cooking and has been, and so she's opening her catering business. But just what if she had adopted a norm based on someone else who they were, you know, they said, okay, you're going to go to school, you're going to get your bachelor's degree. Then as soon as you finish, you're going to go and get your master's degree. And then as soon as you finish, you're going to go and get your PhD. That was me. That was kind of how I grew up, because I was around these people. That's how they were. And then at this age, you're going to make this much money. And at this age, you're going to have this kind of house. And at this stage, you're going to have this kind of car, and blah, 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 blah. But you're kind of following a blueprint you're not like stopping to say, is this what I really want to do? Is this what I really like? So you don't want to necessarily do that, because you can miss out, you can miss out on your dreams. So you want to do what it is that you're passionate about. So just kind of rethink where you are. I would challenge everybody to take a pause. And overachiever, I see it. Someone put it there. Oh, First Lady put it there. That's the word I was looking for. Overachiever. I grew up around a lot of people who were overachievers. Then, because that was my blueprint, I attracted people in my life. I've always attracted people who are overachievers. My girlfriends, my husband. I mean, I've always attracted those people. But what happened at some point, it's like, oh my God, I need to stop. I need to stop. It's not like, go back to school to do what? I went to school to do every single thing. I need to stop. No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. I'm tired. I want to do what I want to do, whatever that is. And so mediocrity can come in all forms. Don't think that just because you have a certain lifestyle or a certain income bracket or whatever. No, there are a lot of people in six-figure jobs. There are a lot of people who are not living out their passion. They're miserable people. Yep. And so that's what we want to not get into, that type of situation. And I want to be careful to say that, going back to what I was saying about education, because, even with all of our kids, we have 3 kids that graduated from college this year or early next year. And the one that's super, 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 super smart, he's not going to grad school immediately. He's going to take off, and he says he don't know when he's going. Yeah. 10 years ago, if my kid said that, that would not have been okay. It's like, what do you mean? No, you're going to school immediately. But no, now I get it. If that's not what he wants to do, then take off, honey. Take off. I applaud you. I wish I had taken off. So you want to think about that as well. Even with your children, give them an opportunity to not get bogged down, with some of the what people think are norms, what we've been told is the social norm. Because as we can see from this pandemic, there is no norm anymore. No. Everyone needs to create their own space. Everyone needs to create what they see their norm is going to be. We cannot depend on our parents who went before us, our government, no one. We need to create our own norms. One of the tips, it's going to be like 2 or 3 tips, and these are major things that people deal with, is one is about money. So we want to say, forget about money. Should never be your main prerogative for doing anything. Don't let money be your reason for doing anything, especially ladies, especially younger women. Don't let money be your reason for getting married. Don't let money be your reason for staying married. We want everybody to stay married. I'm not telling nobody to stay married, but if you're in an abusive relationship or you're in a situation that's not healthy for you, don't let money be the reason that you stay there. Don't let money be the reason that you stay in a job that you don't love, or that your boss is abusive, or that you're not respected. Pray about it. As Sister A-Star said, pray about it and ask God to open up another opportunity in a situation where you would be more comfortable, where you can be doing something that you're more passionate about. So one of the main things we need to get out of our mind when we are trying to overcome mediocrity is, okay, money is not going to be the reason that I remain in whatever this situation is. Whatever this is that you're trying to do differently, say money is not going to be the reason. The next thing is fear. Many people are scared to fail, especially women. We just don't believe we have what it takes to make things happen different from what is already happening, to make something happen different, like to change the tide from what you're already doing, But there's a mantra that people who are very good at this says, failure is just another opportunity to try again. Some of the brightest minds in the world were massive failures before they ended up being successful. They were major failures. Walt Disney is one of the people. Howard Schultz is another people, and many. I mean, I'm sure you've heard so many stories about that. I see Sister Claudette is saying that Elder Stafford used to say, "Money can only do money things."
Yeah.
That's a very wise statement. Money can only do money things. That is right. And I think we saw a lot of that during the pandemic as well. I mean, it was one of the things that was so amazing to me is with celebrities and athletes and people who have a lot of money in general, just how hungry they were for social media. What it showed me was that those people love attention. They were miserable that everyone was doing battles and creating their own little Facebook live situations, but what that told me was they were miserable just like a lot of other people. Even though they have all that money, you wouldn't expect to see them. I didn't expect to see them on social media every day. I just really didn't. Or talking about, trying to create their own, trying to do this, trying to do that. So it told me that, as Claudette is saying, money can only do money things. So once they got shut down and they can't go shop every day on Rodeo Drive and, drive their whatever Maserati, and I have no problem with that at all, not at all. I'm only saying that can't be your driver. That cannot be your driver. That cannot be the thing that keeps you going. You have to find what you're passionate about. The third thing is toxic relationships. Yep. A toxic relationship will keep you living in mediocrity for so many reasons. This one is very big because it really breaks down into two categories. So we have toxic relationships that we could have with our peers. Yeah. So pretty much here, this is where you say, think of several people. Think of like 5 people where you spend most of your time. Do you like what you see with those people? Do you like the vibe you get when you're around them? Are they awesome people? Are they doing amazing things? Now, remember, non-judgmental, amazing things for them. We got to keep that in mind. Amazing things for them. It doesn't have to be what you're doing, but do they seem passionate and happy about what they're doing? Or are these people like unmotivated? They're always complaining. Typically, they say that you're the product of the people that you hang around with. So if you have 5 or 10 people and they all not motivated, complaining, just kind of mediocrity lifestyle, and you're wondering why it's hard for you to pull out of the rut, or you're wondering why it's hard for you to, get to the next level, then you may want to think about that peer group in that, because that's a toxic relationship. And toxic just means that is something there that's feeding on you. Some people call it vampire relationship. It's keeping you from doing the things that you desire to do and keeping you in mediocrity. So the other type of relationship, which we all know, and this one is more challenging to deal with, this is like these one-on-one relationships. These one-on-one relationships where it's close to you. This could be a family member. This could be, I took a course one time where they talked about, and this was a true story. There was a lady, she was saying that her husband has very negative characteristics. He doesn't really encourage people in general, but he doesn't encourage her. He doesn't encourage the kids. Generally, if something is said that's very positive and upbeat, he just can blow. It could be a party going on, and he walk in, and all the balloons are burst. Yeah, he loves her husband. Doesn't have anything to do with that. Doesn't have anything to do with. It's not an option. This is why this is tricky. Because it's not an option, you don't love your husband and your husband got to go. That's not an option here. What do you do when the person who is as close to you is negative, and you're trying to be positive. You're trying to move forward. Well, here's what you do. First of all, you stop sharing. You stop sharing those deepest dreams and desires and what you're trying to do until you get it off the ground and it takes flight. Now, that's in general. When you have a dream, that was Joseph's downfall. Joseph with the coats, he told everybody about his dream. He shouldn't have talked about that so soon. So, and those were his brothers, because remember, we're talking about people who are closest to you. Even his parents could not receive what he was saying that God showed him. And we all know that everything that God showed him came to pass. I mean, the dream that Joseph had about where he was going and where God was trying to take him, what he ended up doing in Egypt surpassed anything that anybody, even to this day, I mean, really, that's a dream that surpasses anything anybody could even understand. But look at what happened when he told people. It almost cost him his life. And these were brothers, this was mother, and this was father. So if you have someone that's close to you, brother, mother, father, and he should have known better because he knew his brothers were jealous of him. That's a reality. We don't like to talk about that, but that's a reality. It's in the Bible. There's people close to you that can be jealous of you. In fact, you could be in a relationship with a spouse and that person is not you personally. It's not like my wife, Pam, I'm jealous of my wife, Pam. It's your dream. It's your wanting to do something different than what they did. And what's going on with them, they don't know how to handle that feeling of mediocrity that they're experiencing, or that feeling of complacency. And they're not getting the same type of, like we're doing this tea time every Wednesday. They're not getting fed inspirational messages and you can do it and it's not too late. So in their mind, they're stuck with where they are. So when they see you moving forward and talking about dreams, even though you're their spouse or their sibling, there's something in them that resents that. And so the second thing you do is you don't take it personal. You understand that they're dealing with their own lack and their own insecurity, and they're not feeling good about where they are, and they don't want to hear about your dream because they don't have a dream, so you don't talk about it. So that's kind of how you deal with that, because it can keep your dream from taking flight. Now, once you have the third thing you do, once you have accomplished or got it out the gate, the balloon is up in the air, the dream is moving, then you can share with that person, but you still have to be wise how you share it. When you're sharing with a person who you know, a person that you love, but you know that they have their own insecurities, you have to share it in a way that makes them feel they're a part of it. Yeah. Share it in a way that makes them feel they're a part of it. And you have, it's a very mature place you have to be in that scenario. You know, it's almost like, and then you have to look for ways that they actually contributed to your success. Yeah. Maybe they didn't come up with the idea. They didn't even believe in the idea. But the fact that they were supporting you financially, or the fact that they picked the kids up twice a week, or the fact that they whatever, say that when you share it. You know, I really appreciate how, if it wasn't, you know, for your support, this made it easier for me to get to where I am. Because you have to understand that they are feeling some type of way because they haven't had the same education, learning, tea time, inspirational message that you have. Yeah. So that's how you deal with that when you have a partner or a sibling who, or someone very close. It could be a best friend. It could be a girlfriend from high school. And you guys have been together your whole lives. And then all of a sudden you take off and you start talking about things, and you can tell when people act kind of funny. That's what's happening in that situation.
Hey, Pam,
but I have a lot of comments. Go ahead.
I was going to say, especially in relationships with marriages, you have to really, really, really make the spouse feel like it's a team. even if it's no more than just sharing your ideas sometimes, and not the whole dream, and asking, what do you think? How do you feel about it? That is big, especially in marriages.
Yeah.
That's
so
it's
true.
a teamwork and not just individual.
Yeah. I see what Sister Sharon is saying. Be careful who you share your dreams and your plans with. That's so true. And then Danielle said, you can't share your dreams with everyone, because some of those same people that say they are praying for you
I like it.
praying, and then she's still praying. You see that, right? Praying against you. That's true, Danielle. I mean, I didn't even, it's so many things we don't even get to go into. I'm just covering those relationships. We got the church relationships. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
First Lady is saying, if a family member or spouse doesn't support you, encourage yourself. That's right. David did it, Paul did it, and Jesus did it. Sharon says, and I did it, and she did it. That's right. Encourage yourself. And the last two is they kind of go together. The one is around just complacency in general. Yeah. Because we as a people are creatures of habit or creatures of comfort.
Yeah.
It's understandable that sometimes we just get comfortable with our surroundings. We get comfortable with our weekly paycheck or our monthly paycheck. We go to vacation at the same place every month. Actually, I was teasing my niece the other week, because for the people who know my niece, First Lady, she's like a cruise queen. Yeah. Like, she's a cruise queen. Right. She goes on cruises 3, 4, no less than 3 times per year for the past 20 years. Right. I was asked her, I'm sure you're having withdrawal symptoms over there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because your cruising days, who knows when that's going to happen again?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, but it's a creature of habit. It's a creature of habit. And so sometimes that happens. Yeah. But the problem with that is, and I can still use that example, that can keep you from looking at other things to do. It's other ways to travel other than, getting on a ship. But when you allow yourself to get complacent, it sounds like a cliche, but the worst thing that we can do, and I think we talked about that on another call, is get so comfortable where you stop looking for opportunities to do something different. It's kind of like you feel that you hit a plateau and now you're stagnated. And then, of course, you just get stuck. You feel like you're stuck. And that's when other people come around you and start talking about their dreams. You're going to do what? You're going to feel, either insecure, or you're going to feel resentment. Sister A started saying, naturally you want it. Yeah. She said, naturally you want everyone to be excited for you when you're sharing, but we must remember not everyone will be excited. I know that is the most deflating experience, especially when it's someone close to you, like a sister or a spouse. When you have good news or something that you want to share, that you're thinking about doing, or you think God gave you a vision, and that person responds like as a joy buster, they just respond like, oh, really? Well, didn't I read that somebody already did that? Well, really? Don't you think the economy is those little negative comments?
Always.
Stay away from people like that. Stay away from people like that. And then the final one that we can implement when we're working to overcome mediocrity is, like, forget the word no. And this is what I was just saying. Forget I can't do it or this can't be done. Say yes more in this situation. Saying yes will get you out of your bubble. Saying yes will cause you to be more open to opportunities. Yeah. As simple as, this call, that an example is this call that we're having every week. As we continue to talk and you see the different topics, I know First Lady, you talked one time about possibly having someone else, maybe present a topic based on their environment. So be open to that. Don't say, oh no, not me, because you never know. Sometimes you find your passion and your gifts when people bring you opportunities. Sometimes God is going to use other people to help you get to that wealthy place that you're looking for. So like A-Star, you say you've been praying, asking God for something. Now you're changing to it's already done. Well, you know, if you're asked to host something, even at the school or even in the education system, that you may be asked to write a paper or something outside of, and they say it's optional. That's one thing I'm gonna close with, is that what one thing I've learned how God works is pay attention when you're praying and asking God for something in your life, especially if it's something you want to do different and you've already told him he's going to get the glory for it. You have to watch every sign.
Yes.
Because it's never going to happen the way you think it's going to happen. You don't know what person he's going to use to bring it to its manifestation. You don't know how it's going to happen. So be open, say yes, look for those opportunities. And that just may be one of the ways that God uses to bring you out of your mediocrity. Yep. So I'm going to close with that. I hope that this has been enlightening for everyone. And if you have any more questions, I have some more material I can share with First Lady, and she could send out if anyone wants, you know, to know more detailed steps that you can take in your daily life to kind of come out of that place and be more comfortable experiencing new things. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sister Inez. That was really good stuff. The good thing about, there was so much shared today that you probably want to go back and listen again to the recording and take notes, especially about overcoming mediocrity and knowing that God has predestined grace for you. But you have to really, you know, get that in your head, knowing that what God has for you is for you, and your path is different than other paths. But certainly one of the things that I really think we should take away from the nuggets of overcoming mediocrity is not to be fear. Don't be scared to fail. Avoid toxic people that's not on the same path that you're on. And complacency, when you get into complacency, find a way to snap out of complacency and eliminate the word no. Those are so powerful. Sister Anna, that was really, really good. And we can just give her a virtual hand clap. I really enjoyed that. Amen, amen. I don't know, I was thinking Sister Danielle has a talent, Pam. I think she's already being exposed for what.
Yes, yes. I think so. And I kind of hint Sister Danielle.
Yeah.
There's two people on this call, one Sister Danielle and one Sister A-Star, that I've kind of tugged at them a couple of times about, you know, at the Tuesday calls. And Sister A-Star, I know you're like really, really busy. And Danielle, she was like, oh, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. But we're going to keep it going. You're doing a great job, Danielle. So it may be like a hidden gift there. You're quick on your feet. You see where you make it practical. That's something that she does very well. Yeah. You can be explaining it at the overachievement level. Yeah. Yeah, I may take 20 words and Danielle will just come back quickly, you know, with this exactly. line that covers it all. So we got our eye on you, Danielle.
Yeah, thank you all so much for joining. We appreciate it. We're going to continue in prayer and fasting and asking God to meet the needs of the country, not only of us personally, but of the country in this period of toxicity with all that's going on. We still know, as Pastor talked about Sunday, when we feel like when you don't see God all the ways, he's always there. He's sovereign. But most of all, you definitely know when he has touched you and when he's come through and he's making a difference and making a change. And we're all seeing some of those moments where God is not maybe so present in some of the situations, but he's ever present, and that so much change is already coming out of all of this stuff, this chaos and everything around us. But today we want to re-spark our dreams. We want to reignite our dreams. We want to, and when I think about the word dream, sometimes we want to be careful with that. We want to think about how how we can make it not just be something that we're dreaming, that we're achieving. And maybe the word shouldn't be dream. Maybe it is our faith in action. What are you doing? What is your passion that you're doing, or you're sitting on, or you're fearful of, that you could just take one step and trust God to do the rest? So thank you so much for joining. We'll get the link for the recording to you guys. And we'll also get, if you need any hard copies of some of the information that you want to take down, we could have some of that available. If Pam has additional resources to you too. Melissa is saying thank you. Claudette is saying that she enjoys it as usual. And I thank my good friend Cecilia and Hope and some of the others. I don't see your names right now. Sharon, Cookie, and everybody who has joined today. We really appreciate this, and we hope that this has really been a benefit and a good resource to you. So at this time, we're gonna just kind of hold hands together, reach out and touch God and ask God to come into into what it is that we want to be doing next, and take a faith walk, an action step. Like A-Star said, I'm not even saying that that is going to happen. She's saying it's happening. So we gotta count those things that aren't as though that they already are happening. I am, this dream is already achieved, and I'm believing it, and I'm going to be actively pursuing it. So Father God, right now we come before you with humble hearts and just a spirit of contrition and asking you, God, to just give us that faith, God, to increase our faith, increase our hope, increase what we need. Give us what we need to know that we can do all things through you who strengthen us. And let us know that it is possible. Instead of saying, I can't, saying, I can do all things. Knowing that you're the author and the finisher of our faith. And what you predestined for us was already decided before we were even thought about in our mom and dad, with our mom, before our parents came together. You already knew that we're going to be doing some of the things that you have in store for us to do. Give us that re-spark, that reignitement that we need to just believe it and go forward in faith. Let us not make excuses. Let us not live in fear. Let us live in faith. Let us take our mess. Even sometimes you can take a messy situation and turn it into a message and make it great for others. I've been there, done that, and this is what I need. This is the resource that I help you get through this because I was in your shoes at one time. So God, we want you to increase our faith, increase our hope, just strengthen us and know that we can do all things, God. And we come against the spirit of fear. We come against the spirit of depression, the spirit of anxiety, the spirit of just saying that it's okay, that my dream really, someone else can do it down the road. I'm not going to do it. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too, my history of my past is, people are judging me. Whatever it is, God, we rebuke it. We cast it down, and knowing that you have forgiven us and that you have equipped us and that you have called us. And if you called us, that settles it. So we also ask God to meet the need of anybody on this line and their extended family members and people that are in their circle to meet every need, to increase their faith, and to give them exactly what they need during this period of uncertainty, knowing that it may appear uncertain, but you are in control, and that we trust you. And we ask these and other blessings in the mighty name of Jesus. And we count it done with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. Want to give a special thanks to Sharon. Danielle's cousin from Lufkin, Texas, joined us today, First Lady.
Oh, thank you, Sharon. And also Cecilia, my friend, she joined us today too. She's Byron and I have known them forever, especially
wow.
Byron went to school with her husband. So I met Cecilia through them. But anyway, thank you guys for being so faithful. And thank you, Sharon. I hope you join us next time as well. Thank you all. God bless.
Okay.
Bye-bye, everybody.
God bless. Bye-bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye, Sister Mars. All right.
All right. Great tea time today.
Yeah. And we did it like within an hour today.
We did it within an hour, yeah. So an hour. We have our recording in the cloud, so we should be good to go.
I really, Isn't that awesome how God put just laid on your heart to do mediocrity, and then it
That I know.
that's why I know God.